Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Business Insider. The United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27 closed in Sharm el-Sheikh with a breakthrough agreement to provide loss and damage funding for vulnerable countries hit hard by climate change. Set against a difficult geopolitical backdrop, COP27 resulted in countries delivering a package of decisions that reaffirmed their commitment to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The package also strengthened action by countries to cut on greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the inevitable impacts of climate change, as well as to boost the support of finance, technology, and capacity building needed by developing countries. COP27 saw the launch of a new 5-year work program to promote climate technology solutions. It also significantly advanced the work on mitigation. A mitigation work program was launched in the City of Peace, aimed at urgently scaling up mitigation ambition and implementation. The work program will start immediately following COP27 and continue until the year 2030. Also, countries launched a package of 25 new collaborative actions in 5 key areas: power, road, transport, steel, hydrogen, and agriculture. And the UN Secretary General announced a $3.1 billion plan to ensure everyone on the planet is protected by early warning systems within the next 5 years. These were some of the main important results of the successful COP27 event hosted by Egypt in the City of Peace in the beautiful Red Sea Resort, now the Green City of Sharm el-Sheikh. We'll be talking about the COP27 recommendations with a distinguished guest who will be with us later in the program. But first, allow us to read to you some of our main news items for this week. And they're all related to, of course, COP27. Foreign Minister and President of the UN Climate Change Conference COP27, Sameh Shoukry, underlined the importance of taking into consideration all of the recommendations and decisions reached during COP27 for a better future for the world. The decisions that were reached during the UN conference are tantamount to a gateway to advancing towards climate neutrality and resilience, Shoukry said at the closing session of COP27. He called on everyone to consider these decisions not as words on paper, but as messages addressed to the world for future generations in order to set the appropriate pace for implementing the Paris Agreement. Shoukry expressed appreciation for tireless efforts exerted by all participating delegations to reach these results. The Foreign Minister called for taking into consideration all arrangements related to financing to be able to make up for damage created by climate change. He called for adopting the Sharm el-Sheikh implementation plan and to take appropriate decisions in this regard. He also said all adaptation-related issues were referred to the meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement for further consultations, calling for the adoption of the draft resolution entitled Adaptation Committee Report 2022. Shoukry finally expressed his confidence that ongoing efforts on adaptation will be finalized at COP28 next year for everyone's interest. The UAE, of course, the United Arab Emirates will be hosting COP28. Transport Minister Kamil al-Wazir witnessed the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding MOU between the Damietta Port Authority, the Consulting Engineering Bureau, and the Scottish University of Strathclyde on the localization of sustainable technology. The agreement was inked in a session entitled Towards Sustainable Climate Neutral and Emission-Free Transport that was held within the activities of the Solutions Day at COP27. The MOU is meant to enhance cooperation between the Damietta Port Authority and Strathclyde University on the exchange of information and scientific and technical expertise and the organization of seminars, workshops and conferences, as well as holding training courses at the university's research centres in the UK. It also aims to conduct a joint research program to develop maritime operations, procedures and services at the Damietta port. And the United Nations has granted young volunteers who helped organize COP27, the 2022 Global Climate Conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, certificates of appreciation in recognition of their great role to render the event successful. The UN Secretary General was keen on taking a group photo with the volunteers. He expressed happiness for the successful organization of COP27, terming the event as one of the best well-organized conferences thanks to the admirable efforts made by the teams of volunteers, whether in arranging for the conference's main activities or its side events, and helping and catering for the needs of the guests all the time and everywhere, including in the green and blue zones and at the airports and hotels. The UN General Secretariat lauded the professionalism of the young volunteers who worked tirelessly to serve the conference guests and ensure that all COP27 events come out perfectly. As many as 2,000 volunteering youth participated in the organization of COP27. A short break now, and when we come back, we will be watching a report on the recommendations of COP27, and we'll be introducing you to our guests here in the studio to start our discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you for staying with us. Time now to introduce you to our dear guest in the studio, Engineer Mohamed Selim, board member of the Arab Sustainable Energy Council. Engineer Selim, very good evening to you, and thank you for coming.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining you this evening, and I would like to provide some added value for our energy.
Looking forward, Engineer Selim. Allow us first, and dear viewers also, please allow us to watch this report prepared by our own Abir Hussein and Rasha Abdel Hamid on the issue, and then come back and start our discussion.
Okay.
The 27th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27, that took place in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, concluded with a historic decision to establish and operationalize a loss and damage fund. Welcoming the decision and calling the fund essential, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that more needs to be done to drastically reduce emissions now, and that the world still needs a giant leap on climate ambition. He stressed that the red line that must not cross is the line that takes the planet over the 1.5-degree temperature limit, urging the world not to relent in the fight for climate justice and climate ambition. Guterres said this COP has taken an important step towards justice. The fund is expected to see developing countries, particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of the climate crisis, supported for losses arising from droughts, floods, rising seas, and other disasters that are attributed to climate change. According to the UN Environment Programme 2022 Adaptation Gap Report, adapting to the climate crisis could cost developing countries anywhere from $160 billion to $340 billion annually by 2030. That number could swell to as much as $565 billion by 2050 if climate change accelerates. Climate finance was, as expected, a key part of COP27. The final agreement highlighted that $4 to $6 trillion are needed a year to be invested in renewable energy until 2030, including investments in technology and infrastructure to allow to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Two UN bodies, the Technology Executive Committee and the Climate Technology Center and Network, also announced plans to accelerate the deployment of transformative technologies to counter the climate crisis. The UN Secretary General unveiled a $3.1 billion plan to ensure everyone on the planet is protected by early warning systems in the next 5 years. Moreover, the UNEP announced the launch of new satellite-based system designed to detect methane emissions, a potent greenhouse gas. Experts have long said that massive amounts of the gas routinely escape from oil and gas installations around the world. Colorless and odorless methane is responsible for more than 25% of the global warming the Earth is experiencing today. The UNEP will use the satellite detection to notify governments and companies of methane leaks, helping them to take action. In addition, an array of states, regional governments, and developing agencies pledged $230 million to the Adaptation Fund to help vulnerable communities around the world to adapt to climate change. Governments also made incremental progress on the global goal on adaptation, a pivotal part of the Paris Agreement designed to help countries contend with the fallout from the climate crisis. Those discussions are expected to conclude at the COP27 next year in the United Arab Emirates.
Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us. Welcome back. And we are in the company of Engineer Mohamed Selim, the board member of the Sustainable Arab Energy Council. Engineer Selim, what did you make of the outcome of COP27, the recommendations, the results, the event itself?
Yes, thank you very much for this joining, and I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Thank you, sir.
Really. And more pleasure that we can discuss about the COP27 and the successful event, really. Now Egypt in the position to play a crucial role all over the world, globally, really. COP27 demonstrates that Egypt can do a lot to all the world. There are two main issues I'd like, or two main factors that I'd like to express on in this COP27. First one, regarding to the climate change and how the COP27 recommendations to resolve the issues all over the world. The second one, or the second factor, what have been declared by President Sisi regarding to the stoppage or stop of the war of Russia and Ukraine as it is, and in the same time he requests all the attendees to support him in this mission. This is really a good point, and now it's looks like a big or high potential of Egypt to play the role of peace. So Sharm el-Sheikh now is the city of peace, and as Egypt is a country of peace. So we hope to finalize this issue, and we found also the acceptance of most of parts, maybe USA and even Russia and Ukraine, all welcomes this declaration. So we hope this war to be stopped. Okay, return back to the COP27 and the climate change. Really, the main issue it was the loss and damage fund. There are here also two issues. First one, regarding to the damage and losses fund, should be collected by the people or by the countries that have a great extent in the damage and losses of the climate. Even they try to not support this fund and even it is discussed long time ago, and so far there is nothing concreted in the ground. That's the reason Egypt said this COP27 should be implemented or execution one.
Right.
It is not only
Words.
just words. We want to see something concreted on the land. The second issue regarding to also the energy of each country. For example, for Egypt, we have our power plants, conventional power plants, and also we have the strategy of the renewable energy. Okay? Now we want to accelerate and even raise up and increase the renewable energy penetration in our strategy. So all these investments should become also from outcome. It should not be as a loan to Egypt. It should be comes from the countries that have negatively impacted the environment. This is the point. Also, the upper limit of temperature, which is 1.5 degrees centigrade.
Yes.
All the scientists and all the attendees mentioned that this is the red line. We wouldn't like to increase the warming of the temperature to be more than 1.5. But this, based on the discussion with most of scientists, is very challenging. It is not easy to be done. For example, this 1.5 degrees centigrade as the upper limit or the red line,
yes,
till 2030. But the point in actual, there are the world should pay a lot of money to minimize the emissions. But in the land, it is not that extent. The world should save emissions around 43% of what we have now. But regarding to what the plan now, it's only 1%.
Right.
So
indeed, the Engineer Selim, a report from the UN Climate Change Committee said that implementation of the current pledges by national governments of cutting greenhouse gas emissions would make us for a track of plus 2.5 degrees Celsius.
Yes.
So we already need to do
see?
more than the already agreed upon, which is not being implemented.
You see,
Yeah.
you see. So this is the crucial issue, and it is the responsibility of the countries.
Everyone.
But who penetrate much or who has a factor or impact more than the others, he should pay. All Africa impact for the climate change only 2% for the emissions, CO2 emissions and harmful gases, only 2%. But the first world, Europe and Asia and the USA, yes, and China, yes, and Asia. So they should take care of our planet. It is not our responsibility only. We should work together, integrate together, and collaborate to protect our planet. Otherwise, everyone will lose. So this is really was a very clear goal in COP27.
Yes.
One more issue for the COP27 regarding to the gas, to use the natural gas to minimize the emissions. Egypt has a great role in that. I'd like to say one fact.
Yes.
Egypt, the specific fuel consumption, which is mean for each kilowatt hour generated by the conventional power plant, okay, use a certain amount of fuel, fossil fuel, which is natural gas. 3 years ago, it was more than 210 gram per kilowatt hour. What's this value last year? It was 180 gram per kilowatt hour.
A decrease of 15%.
Decrease around less than 15, more than 15, more than 15.
Yeah.
It's around 30 gram per kilowatt hour. And if you imagine how much generated energy from our power plants and consumed in our network, so you can imagine how much we save that money. So also we are in line with this also goal. But as you see that the war affected the need of natural gas, now there is opportunity to export this gas to Europe, but in the same time also we should control in our conventional power plants in Egypt. So we can use also renewable energy, but there is a trade-off really, Mr. Mohammed. There is a trade-off. Trade-off which we can do and which we can save.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Understood. So the COP27, according to experts, advanced the work on mitigation. Do you agree? I mean, there is a text that recognizes the unprecedented global energy crisis at the moment, and it underlines the urgency, the text from COP27 underlines the urgency to rapidly transform energy systems to be more secure, reliable, and resilient by accelerating clean and just transitions to renewable energy during this critical period of time. So do you see that it was a strong text? Do you think it's doable?
It can be. But the point that the renewable energy to replace the conventional power plants, okay, it has been already started. It will reach a certain date, okay? But the point here, how much you will pay for that? In conventional power plant, it is not like a car that you can stop it and start it once you need. No, it is if you stop it, you should provide a certain of precautions regarding to preservation all the systems to protect the equipment and the pipelines, all the systems from corrosion, to reuse the power plant later. Even we have such a certain case in our power plants, so should be protected against corrosion and should be preserved properly, okay? But this costs us money also. Who will pay that money? This is the point. It is not only loss and damage for the desert or for the people who damaged their homes or animals, but also the cost that the countries that use the more renewable energy and saving also the conventional power plant.
Yeah.
So this is also should be discussed in a clear way. And I hope this is also can be discussed in COP28 in UAE.
Yeah.
But still there is a risk. What is the risk? The risk is that the people who sell the fuel, the fossil fuel, this is the trade-off also. So they need to sell their oil and their natural gas, but you now increase the renewable energy. So also there is another item for trade-off.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely clear.
Yes.
What about the role of technology in this? How important is the role of technology in keeping everything safe and in making the transition effective?
Yes, now the technology can be done, but not 100%. I heard today also regarding to the parliament in maybe in a certain country that has been attacked by hackers. So you make and more technology and digital transformation and use the highest technology, okay? But still there is a risk to attack your system. Really in Egypt, for example, we built a lot of control centers to keep the power supply to our customers in safe and secure. And can be done. But still, the cybersecurity is the main player to protect all the systems.
It was the EU Parliament website.
Yes.
The EU Parliament website.
Good. You see.
Yeah, Brussels.
Yes, because they want to make election for certain decree regarding to the Russia, then there is something like that. You see, really, the war, everyone will lose. War, everyone will lose.
Absolutely.
But we are looking forward to collaborating together to make our planet more safe and more secure.
Sure.
Okay.
For a better future. So
yes.
There was an agreement in Sharm el-Sheikh to launch a new 5-year plan, a work program to promote climate technology solutions. That's regarding the technology. I wanted to ask you about green hydrogen. We hear a lot, Engineer Selim, about the production of hydrogen, how important this is in the transition to clean energy. How important is it? How urgent is it? And what about the trade-off? Also, there must be a trade-off there as well.
We have to. Thank you for this very important question. Okay, hydrogen now, I want to say and clarify one issue. Hydrogen is not a source of fuel. It is a secondary, like electricity. But the primary resource is fossil fuel or renewable energy. Fossil fuel regarding to the natural gas, mazot, oil, and so on. And renewable energy regarding to the PV or photovoltaics and wind energy, which is the utmost of that. Okay, this is the resources, then can be converted to electricity in conventional power plant or hydrogen in hydrogen generation power plant, hydrogen generation plants. Okay, but also again, President of Egypt mentioned in clear way that we want to manage the market of hydrogen. Who will generate the hydrogen? And we have a lot of MOUs and contracts with the partners, global partners, to install this generation of hydrogen. So this is the generation of hydrogen. Who will transport this production? And who are the demands? And we will use, who are the customers of that? So these markets should be controlled. One more point. The green hydrogen, that means the resource that used to analyze the water to generate hydrogen is a renewable energy. You cannot build a hydrogen plant, okay, and build beside it the renewable energy. Renewable energy can be built hundreds of kilometers far from the generation. So, who can, okay, what's the wheeling charge for that? This is very important point. Benban and Aswan, and hydrogen generation in Ain Sokhna or Ismailia or East Port Said. Okay, and this power, green power, will be transmitted via the grid, the national grid, to these plants. So what will be the wheeling charge? So I recommend, I wouldn't like to say recommend, but raise up the issue, okay, raise up the issue that a committee or a regulatory body should control this and manage this. What will be the wheeling charge for hydrogen, for green hydrogen, okay, the source of renewable energy, and what will be the prices, what will be the efficiency of technologies that will be used in generation of hydrogen, and how we can transport to our customers. So all these issues should be controlled within a committee, a certain committee.
Indeed, very, very important, but very complex at the same time. Engineer Selim, I mean, how long will it take to make the required transition? And will the world, you know, be able, in your view as an expert, to do it fast enough before, you know, bad turns to worse?
What good news in that? I would like to say the good news in that we already use the green hydrogen in a Kima factory in Aswan, okay? Long time ago. So we can continue in that direction, okay? And also in Sharm el-Sheikh, a company of gas turbine blended a certain percentage of hydrogen with the natural gas. Also, this is good news that we can use the hydrogen with the natural gas in firing of gas turbine. So this is also good news. How fast? Still, it is MOUs and needs more study, okay? And to close out the financial of such projects, everything should be clear and fixed and freezed, okay? Because the mechanism, if it is changed, so it will impact the investor.
The one very good thing that came out among many, many other good things from COP27 is the raising of the awareness, at least.
Sure.
At least now, I think people around the globe realize the importance and the urgency of working fast to protect our planet. Unfortunately, dear viewers, that's all the time we have. So on behalf of you, we thank very much our dear guest here in the studio, Engineer Mohamed Selim, the board member of the Arab Sustainable Energy Council. It's been a great pleasure to have you with us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for our audience today.
Thank you, Engineer Selim.
Thank you.
And thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. Next week, same time, is a new episode of Business Insider. Have all the best.